He's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, former WWE wrestler and a 7-time world champ, and now he's a movie star. But people don't remember. He used to be a football player, a baller, I guess, is what you would call him, since that's the new HBO show, and The Rock joins us now. Dwayne, how are you?
Hey, I'm great, Dan. Thank you for having me on again, buddy.
It's good to have you on. Are there people who don't realize that you wrestled?
I get a large group of people who don't realize that I wrestled. I think to the degree that I did, and an even larger degree that I played football down at the U.
Who was the best player on that team, that Miami team?
Man, that's hard. I came in at a very special time. We were Dennis Erickson's first class, and by the time I came in, there were players who won with Dwayne Johnson. So by the time I got there, there was Jesse Armstead, Gino Torretta, Mike Barrow, Darrell Williams. Really the cupboard was full of these incredible players. I would say probably the best overall player I played with it's a toss-up probably between Ray Lewis and Warren Sapp.
Who talked more? Who talked more between those two?
It was probably easily equal 50-50. I will tell you this, my first run-in with Sapp, and a lot of people don't know this, but we bought in, I was a year older than Warren, so we bought him in, and he was a tight end coming out of a small town called Apopka, Florida. So we bought him in as a tight end, and during spring ball, the coaches decided to move him to defensive tackle. And when that happened, Russell Maryland had just left the program. So I was getting ready to compete for that golden position. And Warren came in. He came in the defensive line meeting room, and I'll never forget it. We all kind of looked at him and said, "Oh, what are you doing here?" He goes, "Oh, then move me over." And he looked at me. He goes, "I got to tell you, man, I'm taking your spot." And I said, it's true like defensive linemen would do, full of ego, especially down in Miami because we all talk trash. I said, "Well, you ain't taking my spot." And then about 6 months later, he took my spot.
Who would have been a better WWE guy between Warren Sapp and Ray Lewis?
Well, both of them have they got big personalities. Both of those guys would have done a great job. And there was a time when WWE was at its height during a certain era, what we call now the Attitude Era. When I was there, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, and guys like that. There was a time where we were actually recruiting both those guys to come in and have a big match, and we had gotten very close with having a big match, bringing in Ray Lewis, and we're going to have a big tag team match with myself, Ray Lewis, as tag team partners against whoever the top heels were at the time, probably Triple H, I think, and somebody else. And it was going to be a big WrestleMania match, but we could never. It had nothing to do with it creative. We just more so scheduling, but we were very, very excited. So we came very close to that. But both those guys would have done great, in the ring, and just really, really exceptional athletes.
He's Dwayne Johnson, HBO series Ballers, starting The Rock, premieres this Sunday night at 10 Eastern. I guess the inevitable entourage comparisons, and it's on HBO. Right. Are those comparisons valid in any way?
I think they're valid, yeah, because, what we did, Entourage was such a big show for HBO, and when it ended, it did leave quite a void of that type of show, where guys could enjoy it, where it was like a guy show, but then women could enjoy it too. So HBO had gone to the Entourage creator, Steve Levinson, who's a great guy who just happens to, like us, really love sports. And they wanted to try and create a show that delved into, actually HBO came to Steve Levinson and said, do you have anything that you think would work for our programming that may be similar in tone? Since you started Entourage? And he goes, well, actually, I have this great idea. I think it's a great idea about a show called Ballers that's going to be revealing into the sports world and into the world of pro football. So I was shooting Pain and Gain with Mark Wahlberg down in Miami, where I still live, and he goes, "Hey, we got this idea. What do you think?" I got on the phone with Steve Levinson, who is Mark Wahlberg's producing partner, and he pitched me the idea. I loved it. From there, I read a script, loved that script. We brought on Peter Berg, and we shot the pilot. And HBO, they flipped over the pilot. They loved it, and then we just went from there. And I got to say, Dan, it's as you know, and as the listeners know, that it's a hard genre to crack, to get right, which is the sports genre, which is why a lot of these shows never last. But, hopefully we put our best foot forward. You had a bunch of guys who really love sports. And we wanted to make a show where we pulled the curtain back in the world of pro football. We're set down in Miami with the Miami Dolphins. And we wanted to create a show where we pull the curtain back and you reveal everything about these players' lives, the good, the bad, the highs, the lows, but also wanted to make sure that we really honored the greatness that these players put in and they achieve every week. So I think we made a good show. It feels like we did. People are excited about it. And I've seen this season, and as unbiased as I possibly could be, I think we made a good one. I think people are going to like it.
All right, what's shadier, the world of sports or Hollywood?
Oh, by far, Hollywood, buddy. Hollywood. I think what happens when you have anytime that there's an extraordinary amount of money going on, obviously, there's the good, there's the bad, the highs and lows about it. But I think what I can say now, just through experience, is my past and my history with sports at a pretty good level really prepared me for Hollywood, because at the end of the day, there's still discipline, there's still hard work, so it's all those tenets that like athletes learn in sports, and if you're able to, I think, apply that in Hollywood, it really helps in your favor. Because that's why I say, look, whether playing down at University of Miami or wrestling on the road for many, many years, there's really nothing that I experienced in Hollywood in terms of the shadiness, in terms of like that type of stuff, in terms of the shadiness that I didn't look at and go, oh man, I mean, really, this is nothing compared to what I had to go through in WWE. I mean, look, even before WWE, when I was wrestling for like $40 a night in carnivals and flea markets and things like that. So that's why I always say, in terms of the shadiness, I think it's Hollywood, but in terms of, how difficult it is, it would be sports.
Did you ever have a wardrobe malfunction in WWE?
I did early, because when I first got to WWE, my very first match, by the way, I had no money, and everything was kind of piecemeal together, so I had to borrow trunks from another wrestler. So I actually there's a wrestler who, you might remember, his name is King Tonga, and he's affectionately known as Uncle Tonga. So I had to borrow trunks from him, and he was a big, and he still is a big, massive man, and his trunks were a lot bigger than my waist at that time, and there was a little bit of a malfunction when things could have a tendency to pop out. You just gotta kind of go with the flow, pop things back in.
So the little rock popped out.
There's some pebble action happening.
Oh, yeah. Some pebbles fell out.
Well, wait, but let me clarify, because we're live. I mean, boulders.
Oh, boulders. Of course they were. Boulders. Hey, good luck with Ballers. The trailers look great on that, and of course, you can always fall back on wrestling if this doesn't work out in Hollywood.
Thank you. I know. And then what I'll do, I think I'll call up Herschel Walker, man, because I was listening to him earlier.
How great is he? I mean, that dude's 53, Dwayne. He's 53.
It's incredible. It's insane. I'd love to see him do more. Like, I feel like, right, it's like how you look at him, he's such a specimen. He's like, that's one of those things where, like, God delivered and everybody signed, and there's Herschel Walker. So I want to see him, like, just do more. What a guy.
Yeah,
what a guy. Unbelievable.
He is good. Ballers, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, premieres Sunday night at 10 Eastern. Looks great. And, of course, everything he's done movie-wise, San Andreas, Furious 7, Hercules, Fast and Furious, Pain and Gain. He's a big-time star. Thanks for taking time, Dwayne. Good to talk to you.
Thank you, Dan, as always. I appreciate it, buddy.
All right, that's The Rock.